When you're someone who dreams of becoming the best version of yourself, dealing with failures can be an intensely suffocating and torturous experience. Many of us end up craving ways to avoid these experiences through self-sabotage, deliberately avoiding any efforts to improve and eventually achieve something. A lot of us fear failure so intensely that we give up on any thought of taking action altogether. It's true that if we don't attempt something, we'll never experience failure, but we'll also never experience success. Most of us try our best to eliminate or forget about this fear because we also have a deep desire for success. However, for unknown reasons, we still can't overcome this chronic hesitation, despite our frustration in taking action. So why does this happen to us? Well, the truth is that our fear of failure is deeply rooted in how we were taught to deal with it or approach it during our childhood. Unfortunately, most of us weren't taught to embrace failure and gradually learn from it to better ourselves. Instead, we were severely punished for failures and taught to fear them and feel ashamed when we failed, whether by our parents at home or our teachers at school. This conditioning has made us extremely anxious and nervous when there are chances or risks of failure in something we're attempting, which has led us to completely avoid and ignore that attempt, even when we objectively know it's good for us. The fear we're so concerned about isn't the objective fear of failing at something, it's the fear of being humiliated, shamed, judged, and ridiculed when we fail. It's the fear of deeply questioning our worth as individuals when our efforts result in a waste of time and life. The same way we were taught, narratively or behaviorally, from a young age that failure equates to a lack of value. So, what do we do about it? We simply change the narrative of how we view and react to failure and gradually condition ourselves to embrace and motivate failure. Now, looking at failure methodically and objectively, it's simply a learning process toward eventual improvement. It's like when you're trying to become proficient in an instrument, you're technically bound to make mistakes, and those mistakes are your failures. And when we make mistakes, the frustration we naturally feel drives us to seek answers or solutions to correct them. That's why, objectively, we keep trying again and again to finally identify the root cause of the problem that led to our failures and, ultimately, to build and implement solutions by making the necessary additions, subtractions, or changes. Failure is a normal and essential part of the process toward proficiency in any field. It's a sign of imminent or eventual progress. It's not a sign that you're completely worthless or incompetent. That's the objective and straightforward way to deal with or react to failure after experiencing it. But most of us, due to the paralyzing conditioning we received during our adolescence, turn the frustration we experience into a default period of self-doubt about our abilities and potential. This happens because the way we see or approach failure even before it happens is through a negatively destructive lens. That's why we're easily tempted to give up or abandon all thoughts and future intentions of continuing. We simply need to replace that lens with an opportunistic and invigorating one so that we don't demoralize ourselves to the point of quitting after our first encounter with failure in our commitment to an endeavor. The way most people in the world approach or view failure is that it's much worse than doing nothing because when you fail, you have to experience all these intensely painful negative emotions about yourself and, to make matters worse, the torturous and demoralizing reactions or responses from other people who witness or know about it. Well, let me ask two questions. If you think failure is much worse than doing nothing, why do you feel the worst about yourself when you have absolutely nothing to do? If you think experiencing failure is depressing, why do you get even more depressed when you have absolutely nothing to do with your life? Why is that? Why do you say you don't want to do anything, but at the same time secretly seek something meaningful to do? This happens because challenging yourself and learning about the extent of your capabilities and character, even if you don't succeed, is unconsciously but intrinsically much more motivating and rewarding than just standing still and doing nothing, forever wondering what you could be, what you could do, and where you fit in. Having something meaningful to do will always help fill the void of our ongoing need for novelty and achievement, especially as humans. You'll certainly get frustrated when you fail, but at least you'll have a good estimate of where you stand and where you can improve to reach a higher level. In other words, you'll have directions to follow and tasks to work on, which objectively should make you feel and appear much less like a useless and despicable individual with absolutely nothing to do. And objectively, it puts you far ahead of those who don't even attempt to try. Let's be honest, the people who ridiculed you for your failure when they witnessed or heard about it are the same people secretly wishing they dared to try. They're just making a desperate effort to divert attention from their lack of determination and their depressing existence since they have nothing better to do than spread hate. I know this because I was one of those miserable people in the past, always laughing and ridiculing others for their failed attempts to become someone significant, while secretly wishing I had their strength, courage, confidence, indifference, and motivation against all odds. Secretly, I envied and admired them, even though they didn't succeed. I just highlighted their failure to feel good about myself because I didn't have to go through the frustrations and ridicule that would bring me down, as I vividly knew that, despite my best efforts to ignore them and forget about them, I would learn much more about myself and gain much more respect from people if I had what they had. So, tell me who's more pathetic, useless, and inferior, you, who made the attempt, or them, who secretly wish they could do something but do nothing about it. Nothing good comes from standing still and doing nothing. Life is all about striving, despite all resistance, because it's the only way you'll eventually be satisfied with the life you've lived. We always want to have an idea and, eventually, a reassuring feeling of all the good qualities we can have to become great human beings, and none of them come from standing still and doing nothing. Taking a step back will always be better than taking no step at all because no human being wants to feel trapped, especially in their routine of emptiness. Thank you for watching.